Right now at noon, shocking video from her scene as a woman crashes her car into a bus. The charges she's now facing. Plus, Poland shoots down Russian drones over its airspace. What the Trump administration and NATO are saying about the escalation. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Breiter. We have new details about how a Wisconsin man faked his death and fled the country and why he planned to disappear. After a month-long search for Ryan Borgward, investigators uncovered he was alive through an in-depth laptop investigation. He communicated with detectives by email for about a month before finally returning home to face the consequences. In a 3-hour interview, he explained how he abandoned his kayak, inflated a boat, hopped on an e-bike, then took a bus to Canada before escaping to Eastern Europe.
He's a little bit perplexed as to why he took this path.
Yes, in the end it came down to the feeling of failure in about every aspect of your life.
Borgward is now in custody after a judge sentenced him to 3 months in jail. He also paid $30,000 to Green Lake County. New information now about how a person arrested in this weekend's deadly crash that killed 2 Marquette University students. A warrant says a 41-year-old unnamed driver admitted to drinking high alcohol IPAs before the incident. Sobriety tests showed 14 out of 18 signs of intoxication. The driver has a previous OWI conviction from 2003. Blood alcohol results are pending. A terrifying bus crash was caught on camera in southeast Wisconsin. Take a look at this video in Racine. You can hear screaming passengers as Shamia Anderson crashed into the bus after hitting a Jeep. It happened last Wednesday. You can see the moment the bus driver slams on the brakes as Anderson hits the bus. 2 other angles show several passengers bumping into each other and at least 1 passenger falling down. Investigators report 11 people injured. Witnesses say Anderson was driving really fast, swerving in traffic. She's now being charged with 25 felonies and 4 misdemeanors. The Fitchburg City Council has approved the reorganization of their police department. The goal is to repurpose funds and staff to better align with the department's needs and priorities. As part of this change, the Fitchburg Dispatch Center will end operations. Dispatch duties will now fully transfer to Dane County Communications. The city will continue to provide reception coverage during business hours for non-emergency calls. The Madison School District has a new look this afternoon. The logo features 2 pillars representing strength and foundation. A book sits at the center, symbolizing literacy as the cornerstone of education and democracy. The design is topped with the iconic Capitol Dome. Superintendent Dr. Joe Gothard says identity matters and they want students to be proud of who they are.
Our city's growing. We have 100,000 people expected to be here in the next 25 years, and we have to ensure that Madison Metropolitan School District has a strong brand, that people can recognize it and want to be part of it. This is a great place to live, work, and learn.
The district began working on the brand in March and spoke with stakeholders and students to finalize the design. New data reveals a troubling trend. Fewer students are entering college with the necessary skills. The National Report Card shows a decline in math and reading proficiency since its last report in 2019. A professor of education psychology at UW-Madison says the COVID school closures and teenagers spending more time on screens are likely to blame. While the exact cause of the decline is unknown, he says getting students back on track will be more complicated.
It, again, is going to require knowing what levers need to be pulled, and maybe for struggling students in struggling schools, it may not be the same levers that need to be pulled for the upper level performing students who are declining also.
The next snapshot of college readiness among the country's 12th graders will come out in 2028. Now to your certified most accurate forecast. Here's First Warn meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Hi, Jacob.
Hey Josh, right now we are seeing a few light showers continue across the area. Just like this morning, nothing is really heavy right now, and these are going to dissipate over the next few hours. Not expecting as much rain for the afternoon. We are going to continue to see a decent amount of clouds until we get to the evening, where we will see a little bit more clear skies, and then clear skies are in the forecast overnight. But despite the rain, we continue to see very comfortable temperatures, upper 60s right now. A few areas still in the middle 60s, but some have already risen into to the lower 70s. And like I mentioned, not really going to see much more rain throughout the afternoon, but we'll continue to see cloudy skies with those high temperatures in the middle to lower 70s. So it looks like it will be a few degrees cooler compared to yesterday, but still very comfortable. Now, as we head into the overnight hours, we'll see those clear skies, but despite the clear skies, we are going to see low temperatures in the middle 50s, very close to normal for this time of the year. We will see some fog overnight. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but once we get towards the afternoon for tomorrow, not only will obviously the fog's going to clear up, but we're going to see plenty of sunshine and temperatures will certainly feel warmer. We're expecting highs in the upper 70s, and a few areas could see the lower 80s tomorrow. But if you don't see the lower 80s tomorrow, it's actually fairly likely we'll see the 80s throughout the weekend and for several days after the weekend. So I'll talk more in detail about those temperatures coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, we'll see you then. Thank you. A White House official tells CBS News President Trump will speak with Poland's president today. This comes as Poland says it shot down Russian drones that entered its airspace headed for Ukraine. As Natalie Brand reports, the incident marks the first time NATO aircraft engaged potential threats in allied airspace.
Polish and NATO fighter jets rushed to respond after the country's prime minister said a number of Russian drones violated Poland's airspace. No casualties have been reported, but the government is assessing the damage on the ground. The prime minister says they're likely dealing with a large-scale provocation and prompted Poland's government to invoke Article 4 of the NATO treaty to start emergency talks.
Whether it was intentionally or not, it is absolutely reckless.
NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte delivered a strong warning to Russia to stop its war on Ukraine and aggression in the region.
Allies are resolved to defend every inch of Allied territory.
The incident comes just a week after President Trump hosted Poland's president here at the White House and suggested the U.S. could increase its troop presence in the country.
We're with Poland all the way, and we will help Poland protect itself.
President Trump Wednesday morning on social media posted what's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones. Here we go. The U.S. ambassador to NATO said we stand by our NATO allies in the face of these airspace violations and will defend every inch of NATO territory. Russia says it did not target Poland. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Before the airspace violation, President Trump was asked when he would next talk to Russian President Vladimir Putin, and he said he thinks this week or next. Right now, Israel is facing growing backlash over its controversial missile strike in Qatar. The strike also seems to have deeply rattled the Trump administration, who are incredibly close allies with Qatar, who not only host the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East, but are also gifting the president a plane to be used as the next Air Force One. Any hopes President Trump had of Hamas, whose political leaders had gathered here to discuss his latest proposal to end the violence in Gaza and free the remaining hostages, now seem up in smoke.
I would tell you this. I was very unhappy about it, very unhappy about every aspect, and we got to get the hostages back. But I was very unhappy about the way that went down.
Qatari leaders say they were only contacted by U.S. officials about the Israeli strike 10 minutes after it happened. Dubbed Summit of Fire by Israeli leaders, the attack appears to have derailed the talks which Qatar had been hosting. Coming up next on News 3 Now at noon, Apple reveals its newest iPhone, plus what revised job numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is showing us.
The Supreme Court says it will take up the case to decide if the Trump administration can impose sweeping retaliatory tariffs on trading partners. The justices will review lower court decisions that found President Trump did not have the authority to levy tariffs under the federal emergency powers law. The Trump administration has argued that not imposing tariffs would put the U.S. at a trade disadvantage. Arguments are set for November. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has revised its previous jobs numbers, now saying that 911,000 fewer jobs were added in the 12-month period that ended in March of this year. That's more than the 800,000 economists had predicted. The revision comes days after a weaker than expected August jobs report and signals that the labor market may have begun cooling sooner than previously thought. And Apple has revealed its new iPhone 17 and other smart gadgets. The iPhone 17 has a larger, brighter screen, a powerful new chip to process AI features, and an upgraded camera. The company also unveiled its new AirPods that allow language translation in real time, and the Apple Watch 11 that includes new health components, such as the ability to alert users of hypertension symptoms. Apple also unveiled its thinnest and lightest smartphone to date, the iPhone 17 Air. Its prices start at $999. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's the stock report at the noon hour. The Dow is down 236 points, NASDAQ is up 63, and the S&P 500 is up this hour 20. Our Call for Action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. Call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. Pam Yankee is back with today's farm numbers ahead, and we're also tracking the first warn forecast and later on Live at 4. Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company will be here answering your plant questions. You can send them now to tips@channel3000.com and we'll get the answers to you live at 4. Welcome back. Let's check in now with Pam Yankee for the Midwest Farm Report. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Josh. Yeah, we've got a couple different things we want to talk about today. Let's get started with the latest update from farm fields as far as our corn and soybean crop is concerned. Despite the cooler weather, Wisconsin farmers are still doing pretty well. Corn silage, for example, is off to about a 10% clip right now as far as the overall harvest is concerned. Potatoes are really enjoying this weather. Right now, 40% of the potato crop already dug and 89% of that crop called good to excellent. This has also really helped us as far as our alfalfa harvest is concerned. We've got 97% of the third cutting in and 64%, make that 65% of the fourth cutting in, well ahead of normal. One crop that's not real thrilled about this cooler weather are Wisconsin grapes. Our vineyards are keeping an eye on things. Amy Aragoni down in New Glarus at Bailey's Run Vineyard says she's got about 6 acres, 3,000 vines that she's trying to manage. And she said because the cooler temperatures arrived, the sugar in her grapes has kind of flatlined. It's not increasing, and that concerns her. She said if it continues for very long, they face some losses, including losses to disease, as well as birds, and even bees can take a damage or take a toll. Wasps on some of those vineyards. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on there. Speaking of keeping an eye on things, there you go. Truck and Tractor Pull coming up this weekend down in Monroe at the Greene County Fairgrounds. It is the big Greene County Nationals, something to look forward to, and the weather looks fine. And then the weather doesn't matter because we'll be indoors for the upcoming Sips and Slices on Sunday. I'm partnered up with my chef, Tim. We are going to be joined by others. We'd love to have you come. Tickets are available just until the end of the day today for general admission. It's going to be at the East Side Madison Club off of Monona Drive. We'd love to see you. Come and sample our goods. Again, riverfoodpantry.org. But again, you've got to buy your general admission tickets today. They're also going to have auction items. Farm Babe is putting up a pair of her tickets to a Packer game as well as some Packer art, so you can get in on that as well. All right, getting in on the markets. Not a lot to talk about. Everything is down on the midday as far as corn, beans, and wheat. I think some of it has to do with the stock market and lack of interest in investors. Plus, we're in the harvest. Honestly, when the harvest starts rolling, that's when we traditionally start to see our commodity prices go down. So far, things look very, very good on early harvest numbers, although there are some disease issues being discussed, not only in the Western Plains states, but right here in Wisconsin. Rust showing up for the first time in noticeable numbers anyhow here in Wisconsin. Dairy also a little bit mixed on Wednesday. Barrel cheese down a half today at 167.5. 40-pound block cheese 3/4 cent stronger at 167.25. Butter getting much more affordable for everybody, down 4 cents today, Josh. 196.5 per pound. So there you go. The weather was perfect up at Pambo though for the football game on the opener with Detroit. I'll tell you, if I have a jump in my step and a smile on my face, it's because I got 8 hours of sleep for a couple days straight and the Packers won. That's a formula.
Going to be a busy weekend, Pam. Good to see you as always. Thank you. Now to your certified most accurate forecaster's first warn meteorologist, Jacob Montesano.
Thanks, Josh. As we take a look at the 3 things you need to know, we are going to see some foggy nights and mornings the next few days, with some temperatures continuing to warm up. Highs are expected to get into the 80s, especially over the weekend. And we will see a chance of some storms over the weekend, but the chance does look to be very, very small. Most of the day will be dry. Now let's start with that fog. Here's the visibility forecast. It does show visibility down to around a quarter of a mile for a lot of areas, especially for Madison, places to the east and places to the north. Not quite as bad in southwest Wisconsin. And as we get into Friday morning, we're going to see similar conditions, especially for Madison and areas to the east. Now, once we get to Saturday, the foggy conditions will improve. Still might see some patchy fog out there, but right now we're not projected to see visibility get too impacted over the weekend. Now, looking at the temperatures for today, cloudy skies will keep those temperatures in the lower 70s, still very comfortable. Not going to see much rain in the afternoon, just a few light sprinkles here and there. And then for tomorrow, it will be noticeably warmer. Upper 70s are in the forecast with plenty of sunshine. Could even see a few lower 80s out there. And as we continue into Thursday night, looking at the Packers forecast up in Green Bay, they're going to have similar clear skies with temperatures in the 60s by kickoff, maybe in the upper 50s by the end of the game. So definitely bring a light jacket. Overall, though, it's looking like great football weather. Again, that's tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. against the Commanders. Now, continuing forward with Madison's forecast, we are going to see temperatures continuing to warm up. Friday looks to feature more sunshine with even warmer temperatures, highs in the middle to lower 80s. And those middle to lower 80s are expected throughout the weekend. Now, we are going to see a very small chance of a few on and off storms, but for the most part, I expect to see most of the day feature very dry conditions, if not the entire day, as those temperatures are going to get well into the 80s. And comparing this weekend to last weekend, we had high temperatures in the lower 60s last weekend. So definitely much more summer-like over the next couple of days. And after the weekend, it's still going to be pretty summer-like, as those temperatures, while they may fall a little bit, still going to be in that lower 80 to upper 70s range until maybe the end of next week, where we see those temperatures begin to fall a little bit back near average. I want to point out the average high is 75, so we're going to be well above that over the weekend. Now, as far as rainfall goes, like I mentioned, we'll see a few on and off storm chances throughout the weekend. So it could happen kind of at any point, but for the most part, I don't expect to see much, and I certainly don't expect to see widespread heavy rain, but maybe a few pockets of these thunderstorms could produce some heavy rain. But beyond that, don't expect to see much, but definitely expect to see those warm temperatures. We kind of had a tease for fall, and it's certainly not going to feel like fall over the weekend. Again, it looks like it may start to fall towards the end of next week, but that is several days away. Those summer-like temperatures are really going to kick into gear tomorrow. The cloudy skies today may make it feel a bit cooler, so not quite as warm today as it will be later to end the week. But for those of you that like the warm temperatures, I don't know if this is going to be the last 80-degree stretch we're going to see, but I don't know if we're going to get back to 86, which is the forecasted high for Saturday. So take advantage of it if you like the warm temperatures.
Yeah, the air conditioning will be going back on for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Jacob. After the break here at noon, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
An afternoon treat that's so good, you'll be counting down the seconds to snack time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. As our week-long celebration of back to school continues, today we're focusing on an after-school snack that's not only fun and tasty, but one that's good for us. And let me tell you, these are good whether you're doing homework, heading to the ballpark, or simply watching TV. The first thing we do is line 24 mini muffin cups with paper liners. This will make these really easy to serve. Now we put some granola in a food processor along with a bit of melted butter. After pulsing this, we place a spoonful of it in the bottom of each liner and press it down firmly with our fingertips so it makes a crust. On top of that goes a spoonful of yogurt. As for the yogurt, that can be vanilla or really whatever kind you like. Next, we'll top these with some fresh fruit, and into the freezer they go. Then, when you're craving a snack, simply grab one or two for a treat that's mom approved. You see, when you have a good-for-you snack rather than junk food, everyone's happier. To get the recipe for what we call fruity frozen yogurt bites, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a fun and fruity way for you to say Ooh, it's so good.
Here's Jacob now with the final check of your forecast.
Thanks, Josh. We'll see those temperatures continuing to warm up for the end of the week as highs are going to be back into the 80s. And those 80s, they're expected to continue for several straight days, especially over the weekend where highs could hit the middle 80s. Now, as far as rainfall goes, we are going to see a few chances of rain, but I don't expect to see a whole lot. So overall, we're going to continue to see relatively dry conditions. Similar to today, those chances of rain only going to produce a little bit of rainfall. So enjoy the warm weather, and it may be the last time we get at least this warm going forward. Probably going to see the 80s at some point again after this, but the high of 86, that will be very uncommon by the end of September.
Yeah, we're going to enjoy it while we can. All right, Jacob, thank you. Thanks for watching News 3 Now at noon. Coming up next is The Bold and the Beautiful. Our next newscast is live at 4. And a reminder, you can find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.